Hello boys and girls, Siri here, and this is my interview with Inuki. This is my first interview where I will show you the interview with webcam on it, but unfortunately it was quite impossible for me to edit it well, so it will totally sync. So I managed to sync it in the very beginning, but it just desyncs over time. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Inuki, what's up with all the hats?
I have one cat hat and a bandana, and apparently that means a lot of hats. But basically, what happened is when I went to university to do my music studies, I found it to be a bit of a joke. Like English education, not so good. So I got not only a hat, but some gloves, some leg warmers, a scarf. Went to university dressed in all that, just for a bit of fun. I got a load of free hugs from many girls, so that was awesome. And on top of that, when I'm doing my casting, I have usually the hat, which people are referring to. It adds a layer of protection to my ears. Essentially, I've got weird shaped ears, and they work against me. Putting that hat on sort of delays the pain. I can endure it for about 8 hours or so before it really hurts my ears. So that is what is up with the hat.
Ah, the big mystery. Here it is.
But I've said this many times.
Yeah. Yeah, for people who don't know, and to be honest, I didn't know either, even though I watched like most of your videos. So I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But anyway, ask us about yourself. How did you start commentating?
I initially, because I am not the most confident person in my ability, so I sort of went overboard, maybe a bit more than most people do. I made a big fancy intro. I started learning how to use After Effects. I spent quite a lot of money that I had from my university grant on buying stuff to make me seem a little bit more than I am. So in a sense, yeah, I'm overcompensating for my lack of everything else in ways. So like I had my intro, I had my little tanks rolling across the bottom of the screen, with the player title things, all that stuff that you can probably go back and see the first very episode of Men of War that I casted. And I didn't. I just went in there with a commentary. I tried my best. Back then, I was still pretty new to the game, so I was learning a lot of stuff. I didn't really emphasize like skill too much. I was just out there to enjoy myself, and Men of War wasn't really a big game, so there was hardly any competition with other casters. It worked out pretty well, I would say.
Yeah, I totally love your intros, like a big boom, fancy music, and then constantly tanks rolling at the bottom of the screen with free advertising. So
I will advertise other players' channels if they message me.
by this, okay. Do you got any advice yourself for commentators starting out?
Starting out, I would recommend doing practice first. I remember I did like 10 games before I even released an episode, and none of those were even released. Like I was just going over, and just trying to build up my confidence. Stuff like camera work, commentating. You'll notice I'm saying a lot. Avoid that at all costs almost, but the occasional and ah. Don't get too worked up about it. I would say confidence is pretty much the biggest thing you can really do. Believe in your ability to commentate, and you shall do so. And I guess, like, if you can do more than that, there's been some discussions of having webcams on and off stream. Listen to what people are saying to you. Take it in. Don't necessarily assume they are right, but certainly take it in. And if there's multiple people saying the same thing, then maybe there is an issue. Do work on audio quality as well. If you can edit the background noise out, do so, because that is probably one of the things that people instantly turn off to if there is any kind of like horrible stuff going off in the back. Keyboard and mouse noises. I went out and got a silent mouse, which is now broke. I have to get a new one. So just generally try and get like this general standard quality out there. 1080p quality, great. audio quality, wonderful, awesome frame rate, and such on.
Okay. You also commentate both Men of War Assault Squad and Company of Heroes. How do these games compare to each other to commentate?
Oh, I find them in so many ways similar, but that is speaking on behalf of the tactics. Like there's more camera work involved in Assault Squad because generally there's no sort of fixed camera in that game. You are pretty much all over the place. There's less opportunity to predict what is going off in Men of War Assault Squad as well. Because of all the fog of war. So there's so many surprises which can happen, especially when you are in games of like 3v3, 4v4 and above, which could possibly be saying the same for Company of Heroes, in a sense of there's so many players, you can't keep tabs on all of them. In Company of Heroes 1v1, however, like I've become able to almost predict what these players are doing. Like I get it like 80% right now. And I suppose one of the other biggest differences between the games playing them is the role of tanks. In Men of War, it's basically this tank will win against that tank. You can't really double up your tanks like you can in Company of Heroes. You don't like doubling up a tank is essentially like double firepower, double health. So long as you can get one of the tanks out there on low health, in time. I did it like a Fun Day Monday in Men of War Assault Squad, where a Tiger takes out like 12 Shermans or a Panther or something. Like it's just not the same tank combat. But you can do a lot of flashy things with Company of Heroes. It's got a replay system. So I do like the multicam in the lower corner to show you what's going on. The capture thing early on in the game as well. And I'll be doing more stuff in Company of Heroes too, as well, with the power of editing. It's going to kick ass.
No doubt. A personal thing I think about these games is kind of frustrating because I'm used to playing Men of War, with which you can just insta-kill tanks with another tank. Then if you go play Company of Heroes multiplayer, it's get very frustrating because tanks take so many shots to get down.
There was a moment in time when I was playing Men of War and Company of Heroes, around in the days of Company of Heroes Online, that what would happen is I would get annoyed at Men of War Assault Squad, and I'd be like, it's just tanks and things die way too quickly. And I would stop then, and I would go play Company of Heroes. And then what I'd be like in Company of Heroes is like, this is so unrealistic. Why isn't that thing dying to this? And then I would go play Men of War Assault Squad. So I've learned to accept the differences now, and I love them both. So, but yeah, there is definitely like going between the two major differences in the tank combat.
Yeah. Men of War doesn't support commentating, but Company of Hero does it in a certain way. But how would you like to see commentating support to be improved in these games?
In each games, I think there's a general rule, probably. First of all, for Men of War Assault Squad, they need spectators first. After that, they can do replays, although with a replay system, you can sort of do a lot more, but spectators probably a lot easier to implement than replay systems. And then pretty much we're up to scratch with like the standards of being able to commentate games properly. I think all games, not just Men of War Assault Squad and not just Company of Heroes, they could use a party replay function, because there are so many people out there that want to watch replays with their friends or play against their friends and then watch the replays that they've played. And there's no function to sync up the cameras. Like they have to time it. They have to go 3, 2, 1, play at 5 seconds. So just an ability to form a group or host a lobby where you are hosting a replay rather than like combat or assault zones or anything like that. And then the host of the game controls the camera. So they can speed it up or slow it down if they have that functionality, or pause the game and it pauses for everybody. So I think that would be a great function to have on every game out there that has a replay system. One of the other things I would love is this just seems like so freaking natural to have, but a replay file description. Like, why can't I type a little description of what happened in this replay? So when I send it off to Harlequin, the god of Company of Heroes casting, like he can accept the file, put it into his big folder of stuff, and then just go down the list when he's bored at some point and read the description of what happened and see, maybe have like time-linked events or something. Kind of the way YouTube works when you timestamp stuff. Stuff might be good. Like SoundCloud, I think, if anyone's heard of SoundCloud out there, that is a music site where it displays the audio track on your screen and it's playing along. You can see the time marker of where it's currently playing. And as it goes by, like these little comments pop up of what people have said about that point in time. That could be pretty interesting in like a Company of Heroes replay as well, where the host has edited like this time mark and says, like, here is where something really important happens. So not only does the commentator know what's coming up, like something awesome is about to happen, but he gets a little remark from the actual player of that match as well. And of course, you can turn that on and off. Those will be nice functions. One other thing I would suggest is team names as well. If you see most streams and casts or any YouTube videos with two players playing, they'll usually have the players' names or teams at the top of the screen. I think they should have that built into the game itself, so you can edit that, and it'll just look more standardized and like true to the game, I guess.
And easier to work with.
Yeah, much easier. Access available to all. You don't have to have that software which does the overlay for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't long, but it was a really good explanation.
A bit long.
I expected something like that, to be honest.
Yes.
Oh yeah. You're also running a Company of Heroes tournament at this very moment. How did you find the players to participate in? Because I don't think you will take just about anybody in it.
Well, it's not my Company of Heroes tournament. It's the tournament done by Game Replays. It's the XX23 tournament, which is being run now. So it's basically taking old tournaments and then re-releasing them in a full package. So you can see the final 16 players this time round. I've extended it from the previous 8. So you can see all of the games. So if you've got I've been messaged quite a few times that like, oh, this is my favorite player, I want to see him. So, if they're in the final 16, you'll be able to see the games that they've played up until they're eliminated or won the tournament. I thought that was, kind of a nice idea. And it's sort of easy for me to do as well. I just grab all the games and I go through them in a linear fashion. So in terms of like players though, I'd say 3 come to mind. We've got Korean Army, which is probably one of my all-time favorite German players. Like, he loves his infantry play and he does it so well as well. Always expect something interesting from him, whether it's a stomp or not a stomp. There's definitely going to be fantastic infantry play there. Marina's always doing something quirky with snipers. Like, I expect to see heroic snipers in the 30, 40 kill marks when Marina's is playing. And DevM. DevM kind of reminds me of me, essentially. I was never that good at Company of Heroes, I will grant that. But no, he is a young player. And when I was his age, I was back playing Operation Flashpoint, which was somewhat of a hardcore game as well. It was the predecessor to Arma, or Arma, whatever you want to say it. 1 and 2, same company that designed that. And I was sort of leading squads back then, so like I was somewhat being hardcore, just like he is pretty damn hardcore at the game. And I generally like that. He's not going out there causing terrorism against the world. He's playing Company of Heroes and doing it to entertain us all. So, it's the creative play. I like it.
Yeah. You also play Metaphor Cold Squad yourself. Because you have like several Let's Play episodes of it. From all your Metaphor Assault Squad experience, what is your favorite nation and your favorite unit at this very moment?
Favorite. You see, I don't do it like that. I do it the opposite way. I do it like, what is my least favorite? And then eventually I will find the one which is my favorite from amongst all of the unfavorite ones. But if I have to go, like, I'll just get the unfavorite one out of the way. I'll just say the Commonwealth, the Brits, because I don't know why. I'm just not very patriotic at all. But for some, yeah, like there's lots of units I like on all the factions though. But my favorite faction, probably Russia. They're a solid faction. I feel like there may be some overly powerful stuff in there, but pretty much everything that the Germans have, the Russians will have some sort of equivalent to it. Uh, Besides the BM8, of course, but favorite units, the Hato from the Japanese, the giant missile launcher. You gotta love that, and how completely useless it is. For Russia, there's the Guard snipers. They're a solid bet. They've got
the ones who come in a jeep, right?
Yeah, they two snipers. How can you not like that? The PPS H's are fantastic as well, great for pushing. They've got the MG, which isn't an MG42 because the MG42 is just this crazy freaking sniper rifle right now, the way it is. But the German Goliaths, of course, fantastic explosion, and Japanese AT rifleman, which you look like Rambo cutting people down with that thing. It's such a fast-firing AT rifle, but treated like a sniper rifle. So what's not to love?
If you take MOAS now as it is, how could it be improved in your opinion?
How can it be improved? Well, obviously the replay and spectator system.
Yeah, besides that,
because we've already talked about that, we need. Like I will complain about the bazookas again because the bazookas, they got accidentally nerfed in the last patch because we tried to make it so that the MGs, the LMGs, were less accurate against moving targets. But what happened then was the bazookas were also less accurate against moving targets, and now they just miss so often. So like I kind of prefer the last patch. I think that would be a better direction to go in. And I think we need to have more bullet spread on these MGs to see them being less used, less of static emplacement, less viable and holding down just entire hordes of infantry which you try and throw at the situation. Like to counter an MG, you have to get something way more expensive out. And you can keep throwing those out. Other than that, like, did you want something more mechanical wise? I could probably come up with something.
I think the variation in vehicles is already a big plus in Men of War because you've got so many options, so many counters to each other.
We definitely don't need any more vehicles, but some optimization might be a good choice for Men of War Assault Squad.
Yeah, and less crashes.
Less crashes would be greatly appreciated.
There's also a new Men of War coming up with a modern day theme. Do you think that will work because modern day tactics are just so different from World War II?
I do not like modern war tactics as much, but having said that, I also don't like sci-fi too much as well. Like I like the World War setting, and like it comes down to how Instinct and Digital Mindsoft are going to approach it, because there are plenty of games that I play in those themes which I don't like, which I love those games because of how they're done. So if he's going to keep it somewhat similar to Assault Squad, it's going to have the same sort of penetration system. Infantry player is going to be somewhat similar. So far, what we've heard of the games, like the ranges are going to be increasing, there's going to be less units on the field, hopefully trying to encourage more teamwork. I do want more teamwork to happen. And as long as we don't get stuff like sniper rifles, which can fire through walls with like thermal scopes and can see through stuff like that, any sort of shenanigans on that way, it's just going to be like essentially Assault Squad, but with a modern theme. I will be like very happy of that. So if that happens, great.
Yeah, so no Call of Duty variant of Men of War.
Yeah, no sort of like ACOG attachment with this sort of unicorn laser sight on it, and then 15 other knife throwing gadgets with frag grenades attached to everywhere and some sort of magical, I don't know, magic.
Yeah, get your point.
Yeah, I hope so, because I don't.
Nah. If you compare Company of Heroes and Men of War Assault Squad as a strategy game with like StarCraft 2, for example, why do you think StarCraft is so popular and has huge competitions and tournaments, and Company of Heroes and MOBAs don't have?
This is a very complicated question.
I do realize this.
First of all, let's get Men of War out of the way. That isn't optimized. Games which crash won't be popular. They will not have a following or a sponsor or backing of any sort. So you have to be pretty hardcore to stick around to enjoy Men of War. And, we do. We stick around, we enjoy. Unfortunately, the other poor souls will not have that same enjoyment we do. The popular answer for Company of Heroes is like Company of Heroes is too random, whereas StarCraft is 100% true to player skill. I would say StarCraft is more random, though. In StarCraft, battles can go either way. Players build their base, scout, harass, and games can end because one tile, which was almost scouted, just almost nearly scouted, wasn't revealed by that probe or drone early on in the game or something. That leads to the entire base being destroyed, or like two giant armies at the end of the game which have been built up fight at each other, and then one blob just goes away, and unless your Zerg can instantly rebuild that, game over. So that's to me just says it's a bit more random, not because of how the numbers are calculated, but just generally making a slight mistake like that. How can you calculate those mistakes? You can't. You just try and iron out all those mistakes and play 100% perfectly. We're human, though. Never going to happen. You can be only so good. In Company of Heroes, you have small victories and big ones. You got the big ones, which are more likely like accidents, mistakes on the player's behalf. Like you accidentally blobbed up all of your stuff and it got bombed. So don't do that. I can see people go wild or something like that in StarCraft. But in StarCraft, it's more like the Banshee escaped with one health point. Like it flew away, it was harassing a mineral line, it got away with one health, and the crowd will go mental over that. Whereas in Company of Heroes, you could have this huge ball of blood and guts and limbs fly out from this Goliath explosion, which was well hidden. And that should be the big thing in StarCraft. But that's not it. So it's very weird. I don't know why that happens. But another reason is Company of Heroes was released in 2006. Computers weren't as good as they are now. They are always improving. So many players will not have got the experience of Company of Heroes when it was initially released. And back then as well, when it was released, it wasn't a multiplayer-focused game. So you had this game which came out and it was like, single player, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that'll be fun. No one was going, oh, this is going to be a big multiplayer game. It's going to rock your socks off. So after a little bit of time, players started saying, actually, the multiplayer is pretty good. Or so the stories that I've been told. Like, I wasn't around at the initial release of Company of Heroes, unfortunately. I wish I was. So patches started rolling out. They started balancing the game. And then there was a time where it was really perfect, apparently. And then we had the two following nations added to the game as well, which created big imbalances there. So, without if Company of Heroes was released today, and we'll see what happens with Company of Heroes 2 as well, I think it would have got a much larger backing if they had marketed it in a multiplayer direction. So launches are just very important that way. Company of Heroes Online, for example, that got a giant following. It's just the slight issue with THQ. They had their financial issues. They couldn't support the game. Also, the way that they charged money for that, perhaps not the best way to do it. Perhaps a little bit too pricey. I don't know. I don't think it was delivered in the full way that it could have been. So I hope that answers almost everything that I wanted to answer. Probably not. I probably left some stuff out, but that's all I can think of. Damn it.
Just text me later or something. Yeah, THQ got bought by someone else, but I forgot who at the moment.
Sega.
Sega. Oh, yeah.
Which are not responsible just for Sonic, which has gone terribly downhill. The
I love that game. I love that game on the old Sega consoles.
Yeah, I love Sonic as well, but like Sonic 4, the guy doesn't even run fast anymore. He runs like really slowly. He feels very, very chunky now for some reason. But Sega also responsible for Total War.
Yeah.
And I think there is going to be some cooperation between the guys who make Total War and Relic, the guys who make Company of Heroes, which could churn out possibly an amazing Dawn of War game in the future, which I would assume they're going to do a Dawn of War game because Games Workshop has given them the all clear. They are happy to work with Sega on that. And they're making Company of Heroes now, so I doubt they're going to be making a Company of Heroes free directly afterwards.
No, it took 6 years to get a second one, so...
Yeah, expansions definitely should be on the horizon for Company of Heroes 2. Maybe Sega will have some input on that. But with most of the game like already there, I'm not sure they're going to have as much of an impact as they can do with the next Dawn of War game. Hopefully.
Yeah, Sega, if you look at the latest Total Wars, they have a lot of unit DLC, so maybe we will see that too in the new Company of Heroes.
Yeah, DLC.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't like it because you get tons of DLC units and new clans and some. It's getting pretty imbalanced. So
yeah, I saw the latest EA trick. Apparently, is what they are doing is boxing up pre-released information on SimCity. This isn't the game. This is just information of the game which is coming out. So you buy the box and you get like screenshots, wallpapers, and some videos of the game. But in all fairness, they will give you a £5 or $5 discount on SimCity when it's released. Granted, you have to install it and play it on Origin. Granted, you have to be online to play it. So things are going to progress, by the way. This isn't going to stop. Like I always think about, like when will it stop? Like before, it used to be that we had expansions for like £15 and they would be like an extra campaign with the same game, like mechanics and stuff, or like just shifting around the tile set or something, whatever, dialogue there. Wasn't too much, but it was very worth the value for money. And now they're bringing out DLCs. They've gone completely overboard with the DLCs. Not going to stop there, though. You've been DRM harassed. You are now committed to be online at all times to play some single-player games. Not going to stop there. Going to keep going. And sooner or later, like I think the people who buy the games, they're going to have to vote with their wallet and put a stop to this. But I don't know when that is. Like the game industry is showing no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, as long
what's next?
As long as people keep buying it, they will.
But what's next after buying this box of screenshots and videos? What could you possibly try to sell us after that? So yes,
I'm really thinking of something. Maybe like the cup of coffee of one of the art directors. Could be interesting. Like feel the creativity is flowing right through you. Buy this cup of coffee.
Well, maybe you have to. Yeah, maybe you have to pay like a monthly subscription to get developer diaries released to you.
Or just you have to pay to get the patches or bug fixes.
Oh no! Don't say that.
No, I think they will.
Well, essentially,
they will really do that, I guess.
Essentially, you kind of are paying for patches because it's in DLCs where usually you would get free content. Like with Men of War Assault Squad, they've been really good at giving you free content. A lot of games in the past have given you loads of free content, but now you're forced to sort of pay like £1 or $2 or something for just like one item you get in your game. Whereas before you would get like, I can give you an example of EverQuest 2, that MMO. They just gave like a 9 gigabyte total audio dub to the game. Like every NPC in the game all of a sudden received dialogue, and that was just a free patch out there. So
that is awesome.
Yeah, you don't see Blizzard doing that, do you?
No. Now I think of something like I remember Call of Duty World at War got 4 free map packs because I'm one of the people that actually love the game. But I think from map pack 2 to 4 they had like a small logo in the loading screen of I don't know a company of something that maybe sponsored it. Well, I didn't mind, so you got free maps, you got the zombie maps, and now with these Call of Duties you have to pay €15 for just 3 maps plus a revamp of an old one.
Yeah.
Plus something I also noticed is you don't get the mods to new Call of Duties anymore. And I think if other games start to do that too, let's say just we don't allow modding anymore, so people have to buy DLCs or expansions if they want to do something new with it.
That
Okay.
is
Do you get my thoughts?
Yeah, it takes me to well, because I haven't bought any of the Call of Duties after 2, I think. Like, I was a huge fan of the Call of Duty when it was released. I was playing it online. That was kind of after the Delta Force series has kind of drawn to an end. And I wasn't like too great at Call of Duty after that. I sort of relaxed down because I was doing my Operation Flashpoint. But the old Call of Duty had stuff like, you could mod it. You joined the server and you just downloaded the map there and then. Excellent. The 128 player servers were freaking kick ass. They had a class system as well in there. I don't know if that was actually a part of the game, or that was a mod that, again, you sort of downloaded as you joined the server. I think it was that one. But the ranking system, God damn, these ranking systems are sort of ruining games at the moment because people are now playing for the whole statistics. They're not playing for the experience. So in Call of Duty, I sort of played for the experience of a World War soldier in, sounds a little bit of a gay way, but, I was playing, shooting people for fun. It felt very much like World War II. I felt like I had to duck for cover and stuff. There was awesome grenades blasted in my face and vice versa. But now it's like, it's not that I want to see the awesome explosion of the grenade in the guy's face in Modern Warfare 2. That doesn't matter to me. If I throw a grenade in a room and everyone blows up in this huge bloodbath and blood's pouring out the windows and limbs are flying out the window and guys are diving in front of each other to absorb bullets, I don't care about that. What I care about is the statistics page where it says guys blown out of window 2. Oh, I've got to get that up. So, like, we're kind of being drawn out of the game by these statistics. If you take lag into account, this is probably a popular thing. If I am playing on a game that does not have the statistic system and the game lags, okay, fair enough. The game kind of lags. Games do that. No big deal. My score isn't really being recorded. I'm happy with that. If it is being recorded, however, all kinds of people that don't even look at my account, God, I hope it's just me that thinks like this. All of a sudden, I'm feeling very self-conscious about my statistics page, and I can't play for fun anymore. I can't just suppress a load of machine gun bullets into a wall just because I think I'm suppressing that guy. No, because that's going to decrease my accuracy now. And then people are going to look at my page and say, oh, that guy sucks because he's trying to do something that people do in real life in the military, which does work in the game, but makes you look terrible. So, like, you start playing very, very differently because of the statistics, and you can't really get out of that. It's like a big emotional drag attached to your leg, which constantly reminds you that you have to be playing the way of the statistics. God. Rant over.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm gonna have a meltdown.
Okay. We got a bit off track of my list of questions, so
Perhaps.
this will seem totally random, but this was supposed to be the next question. You commentate also a mobile game called Smite. Why did you pick Smite and not like the big statistics games called League of Legends and Dota 2?
The answer to this question is simples. I don't enjoy the other two. If you're going to be commentating stuff, you have to enjoy it. You have to actively engage in it. So it's no good going to commentate a game which you will not want to fully commit to. Right, I can't think of anyone who would be able to do that. If you're not interested in it, you would treat it as like a 9 to 5 job. You would sit down at 9 o'clock. You'd be like, okay, time to do this game that I don't like, and you don't really care about working to find out all the stuff that you want to find out to get better at the game or to find the interesting stuff about the game. Like, there's plenty of stuff to find out in Men of War Assault Squad. I'm still learning to this very day, and that's why I stick with Assault Squad. Like, I love the daily lessons I learn in life, and I'm always trying to figure out how to do things better or be a little bit tricky to enemy players and stuff like that. So, like, with phone. Was that your phone?
Nope.
Oh, maybe I've lost my phone. Where's my phone? I don't know. We'll catch up on that later. But with Smite, you've got the WSA&D movement in League of Legends and Dota. The idea that you can be running away from someone and there's a person chasing you, they've got a bit more movement speed, they run up to you, they catch you, and then they play their attack animation whilst you're still running away. So you've ran 10 meters away, they've finished their attack animation, and all of a sudden like 100 damage appears on you. Like, it doesn't feel like a battle, it feels very much like a game. Especially, and I will complain to a lot of games, but Smite does this a lot less. There's too many particle effects. Guild Wars 2, like, have as much fun as you want in Guild Wars 2, but too many games at the moment. I feel like if I select warrior or rogue melee-based classes with preferably melee-based attacks, they have these glistening swords of pristine prismatic rainbows which directly inject into your freaking eyes all of the time. I'm just like, I would like to have this really cool slash, like slash from diagonal to then right, and that's a physical move, and I'd like to see my opponent react to that in some way which seems reasonable to that attack. But instead, what I get is this big giant fire particle effect which slams around the entire of my screen and treats me like I'm some sort of wizard warrior. So yeah, that's another thing that Dota and League of Legends kind of do that I prefer in Smite, because Smite, it's a lot easier to make sense of. I think if you were to take both games and show them to people that have never seen the games before, people will be far more likely to understand what is going off in Smite than what is going off in League of Legends or Dota. And I think someone actually did this with StarCraft. They got random elderly people to watch pro games of StarCraft, and they had to say their thoughts on what was happening. And these guys were like, I think the insect people are winning. Which is another reason why I like Company of Heroes of Men of War Assault Squad. We can, fair enough, we can easily relate to stuff which are real. Like, people know those tanks. Like, they may not necessarily know the names of the units and the tanks, but they can see that guy got hit by a bullet, he goes down. It's treated in a way that is easily understandable.
Oh, geese. Yeah, I actually agree you on the past points, but just because I'm asking the questions and not answering myself would be kind of ironic. So the next question for you.
Is that ironic? How?
Well, English might have failed me here. Like, it would be like talking to myself and you just listening to me. Like, dude, it's my turn to answer.
That sometimes I ask questions and then answer it myself.
Yeah, because you're doing a monologue while shoutcasting, so it's perfectly fine for you. Okay. Company of Heroes 2 is coming out, as mentioned before. Hopefully you will start commentating this one too.
Yes, I will be.
Hooray! Any thoughts on the game so far?
Isn't that still under NDA?
They released like dev videos, diary stuff.
Have
you seen those?
I'll try and comment on those.
Oh yeah. I don't want to.
No, I really have to think about this one because the NDA.
Or you don't have to answer if you don't want to, of course.
I'm sure there's something I can say on that.
We've seen like
leave it till later. Leave it till later.
Okay.
I might try and figure it out. I'll answer it last.
And just so the things I've seen were like the tanks crushing to ice, the fire slowing down snow,
Oh.
like the fog of war in Men of War.
I go on to go on another bitch fest now. Right. Company of Heroes 2 is pretty damn awesome. Besides it not having medics, which they've announced, besides it being off-map sort of units instead of building it from base buildings, which I will just quickly sidestep again. I would like it if the improvement from going to having base buildings in Company of Heroes to off-map call-ins of Company of Heroes 2, that you build the base buildings in Company of Heroes 2, and then rather than the unit just appearing like outside of your barracks, they actually, come out of the tent, like open up the tent door and walk out like they've just been sat there all along. I thought that would have been a great animation. They do that with vehicles. The vehicles get produced from the factory and they come out. That looks awesome. Do that with infantry. But they've decided to go the off-map way, which does look equally cool. I will give them that. So sidestepping to the other direction, back to where I was, developer diaries. I really dislike the amount of false advertisement there is going down at the moment in developer diaries. Sad to say it that even Company of Heroes 2 has somehow stepped into the false advertisement sector. But I remember the one clearly with Brothers in Arms Hell's Highway. This is what set it off for me. When they said that they had created a whole new cover-based system. This was like far after many other games that had done cover systems, and it looked no different. So like in the developer diaries, I look at all the gameplay footage and it looks great. It looks cool. It's a bit souped up. The multiplayer trailer that they have doesn't seem to have any aspect of multiplayer in it whatsoever. Doesn't matter. I know the game's still going to be awesome, but still seems very false advertising. And just generally sort of what the developers say, like the snow melting on the ice, I kind of don't believe they have that kind of physics system. It's far more likely that it's just an animation there that the snow melts off the building when you burn it. So it's not actually the snow melting, it's just the animation. That could have been a frog jumping off of the building. It could have been a TV falling off of the building. It's just how it happens that they've animated it with snow. So, they've kind of said it does a lot more than it actually does. Still, game does a lot. Still pretty awesome. Just didn't need to lie about it. But I guess it's probably because a lot of new players won't fully understand how games kind of work and are constructed. So saying it like that is a bit simple, very easy to understand. And it is true. The snow is melting off the building. That's the way it's animated. But it's not actually melting, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like a mini video of snow that is getting melted.
It will be the same every time, that snow. It won't be different dependent on where you melt it from.
Yeah. Any other things you hope that will be added?
Medics. Hopefully a bit more customization like Company of Heroes Online. I loved that you could customize the abilities in Company of Heroes Online. You selected 5 out of 8 and then leveled them up in different directions. So I remember a lot of people in CoH, in the Germany faction, they loved the Tiger tank for some reason. I preferred much infantry-orientated play, so I ended up specializing, not getting a Tiger, but instead getting the off-map infantry call-in, which I did in a way so it would call in more Goliaths than infantry, which I thought was maybe would have been rectified if the game had gone longer. Maybe it was a bit overpowered, but stuff like that really gives player flavors, and that's what I want to see in Company of Heroes 2. I want to see these players of their own have more flavors. Like I like Korean Army because he has a very strong infantry play style. I like Dev M because when he plays allies, he plays them in a way that he's always flanking. He's always got these huge lines of infantry, and he just sends it forward. And he finds a hole in his opponent's defenses, and then he exploits that hole. But that's kind of the way you're meant to be playing. It's not the way Dev M has really chosen to play. He's just playing it very, very well. And if we had stuff like from CoH, the specializations abilities, maybe we would see players having their own sort of signature moves in a sense. If you understand that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I'll be kick ass.
Yeah. So sorry, my throat is really hurting. Actually,
your throat. I've been casting and being angry at draws all day.
Oh yeah, I've also noticed you're trying to build up your own community now. You also started with your own forums.
Uh-huh.
Is there anything in specific you try to achieve with this? Or is it just random, hey, let's get some people together?
I find it very difficult to build up my community. It's something I'm not so strongly at. Like I mentioned at the start, like I'm not a confident person. I probably have some Asperger's syndrome related to me if I were to self-diagnose myself anyway. But the idea of getting a forum, which I should have had up from the very start, essentially it's just a place to go to. It's more of Inuki TV. It's easier to get in contact with people. Like YouTube is very difficult to comment, reply to every single comment. And the main thing that I wanted to achieve with the forum is mainly for me, because I used to go to a forum on Mortal Online, which was an MMO, which was trying to be a bit more realistic, a bit more like Elder Scrolls, which, funnily enough, is more like Elder Scrolls than the Elder Scrolls Online is going to be. I just sunk into that. But anyway, the Mortal Online forums, they had this off-topic section where they talked all about games, and I found that there was many people similar to me who were interested in finding out games which were more innovative or interesting in a way that, like, you know, Men of War Assault Squad is to a lot of players who are playing it currently. So hopefully I can find this sort of hub for people to go to of similar thoughts. They can go there, they can post interesting finds. I think I've got another game to post in the off-topic section that maybe people will be interested in, and we can sort of talk there, share ideas, have a bit of a rant about how bad EA is or something. And you know, I think that would be pretty fun, but I don't fully know how this works out or ties into my YouTube channel, but it's got to help, hasn't it? It can't be bad.
And talking about communities, how is the community of shoutcasters actually?
In general or for particular games?
I think there are a lot of shoutcasters for Company of Heroes, but I was thinking about those, and yeah, in general maybe.
I'm somewhat like outed in the Company of Heroes shoutcasting scene, but that's only because I'm European and because I still live at home. So I can't do these 2 a.m. commentaries, and like there's only certain times I can really cast. So it's very difficult to group up with people. Like I really like to commentate with Complexity. He's a really fun guy. I want to do like commentaries with loads of other guys as well. It's just seizing the opportunity to do so. And generally, they've all got their own stuff to do as well. Hopefully in Company of Heroes 2, I can find like a shoutcaster with me or pick up random people to do that. So people with like preferably more player insight into the game, because I imagine I'll be yet again doing more editing work, which I suppose is like the main difference between me and a lot of other shoutcasters is I do like an awful lot of editing. So like whilst they're churning out games very quickly, I'm spending a bit more time on it, which like nothing wrong with that. Like it's all about the viewers, what they want to watch. But I could not live with myself if I just recorded a game and posted it online. I would be very, very anti-happy. I don't know why. But I think we sort of had a decent agreement. Like I'll cover tournaments in a bit more depth, because I think that is an area which a lot of players would like to see. And they can go watch all the other casters and live streams and stuff like that. they'll get the games as soon as they come out, and then maybe a bit later they'll rewatch the tournament like that was covered, but in full. Like they'll have all of the games accessed rather than just 5 to 10 that were done on the night. So, you know, pretty much all friendly in the Company of Heroes one. In Men of War Assault Squad, I think there's a few new guys coming up that want to do the same thing, and they've got my full support as well. I would very much like to have one of my games casted at some point and see what happens there, but I feel like I may be bitched at for that. Like, oh, why didn't Inuki do this? Oh, he bodged that one up. So I'd be a little bit afraid to do that. We'll see what happens, though. But yeah, if there are any Men of War guys that need some help with the channel, just send their questions to me over Steam. I do answer on Steam. Like I guess that comes back to the community, building up the community. It's very easy to get a hold of my Steam, and I've made that possible. And this feels really silly to say so, but like only a few people found out my Steam, and when they got that, they shared it with a few friends apparently, and all of a sudden I've been purchased. Like people have purchased me free games and gifted it to me. So I'm like, hey, if people want to buy me games, I don't mind that at all. They can have my Steam thing and we'll talk on that. So that's all right. I try and keep my Skype a little bit more closed down because I like to keep that sort of something work related that I know if I'm messaged on Skype, I know it's going to be very important.
That's why the spelling of your Skype account was so damn difficult, probably.
Maybe.
Maybe. We don't know. Okay, I've got a final question for you.
Okay.
If you could personally add any unit you wanted in Company of Heroes 2, what or who would it be, and what skills and upgrades would you give them?
Medics, but besides medics, of course. I don't. This one's really hard because the unit that I like the type of unit that I would put in the game is already in the game. So, besides medics, I'd say like I'm not much of a tank person or vehicle person, so it would have to be some sort of infantry. I'm not really a stealth kind of person. I prefer numbers, like kind of like a Zergy squad. So, you know, like a 6-7 man squad possibly. Maybe a defensive role. Like they couldn't be on the German side because the Germans, like, they're not meant to have the numbers. So they'd have to be kind of weak, go on the Russian side, and perhaps be defensive in nature. Maybe like an ability which increases their defense in heavy cover, but slows them down, or for the duration of that ability, it like disables the retreat or something. That sounds like a cool idea. I like the backfire type of abilities where you can use it, but it has a drawback. I think that might be cool, but like it's not really needed in Company of Heroes 2. They've got pretty much everything there to make an interesting and exciting matchup between two high-level players already. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. So, or maybe you could use like defensive medics. So
defensive medics.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see a problem with how it was already. Like medics going to pick up guys, they go back and then they
get shot.
Yeah, they can be shot, or like the one that I would like to have seen in Assault Squad is like pretty much the same as Company of Heroes, but like instead of getting a free squad, like the medics go pick up the soldiers, they bring them back to the medic station, and then what happens is once it's full, a truck comes in from off map. They load up all the wounded, and they can still be shot whilst this is happening. And they get in the truck is ready to go, the truck starts driving off map, and then when that gets off map, you get a little bit of manpower. Just a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. I think that could look pretty good, because maybe you get like some convoys going on or something. I would like to see like the classic sort of situation you'll see in World War II films or something. You got this convoy, this huge convoy, and we never get to see that happen in any RTS game at all. There is never a line of vehicles going down a road, and I think that would be amazing if they could somehow get that into a multiplayer aspect of this idea of a convoy actually being useful somehow. So, I mean, it would only be one vehicle, but it's something. It's a start.
Yeah.
Maybe if you built multiple medic stations.
Well, I would like to thank you for making some time for me, which is about 1 hour actually. So thank you for
Holy
1 hour
crap.
of your time. Indeed, I had to go already actually, but fuck it. So thank you, Inuki, and I hope I'll talk to you again sometime.
And thank you too. I'm going to be looking very forward to hearing this back and going, why didn't I say that? I forgot that entirely. And I'll be kicking myself, and I will not be able to sleep that night and maybe a few nights because I will constantly be thinking about what I should have said.